We're at Randall and Obin, the seafood gurus of Soho. Michael Portillo's very kindly given us some of his time. And Michael, I just want to ask Michael just some of his thoughts on artisan gin and the market. And over to you, Michael.
Well, it's a more sophisticated market than it used to be, and people in general, in their food and their drink, are taking a great deal of interest in the origin of things.
The heritage, yeah.
Well, not only the heritage, but they want to know exactly where it comes from and the conditions in which it was made. You know, if you're talking about meat or fish, or you're talking about gin, they're interested in knowing exactly where it came from. And I think it appeals to people very much, the idea that there is an artisan, a craftsman, working away on a recipe that is a heritage recipe that goes back a long way. I think people are tired of things that are bland. So, you know, I think this somewhat militates against the big global brands, which are terribly familiar to people. So they're interested in different tastes. I think they're interested in different tastes within the gin and different tastes that can be added to the gin. So I think there's a great deal of appeal. It's interesting, isn't it, how gin has gone through many different reputations in its history. You know, at one time...
It's an understatement.
Well, you know, bathtub gin, mother's ruin. I suppose for much of the 20th century, it was kind of associated with golf clubs and
gentlemen's clubs.
And men with moustaches somehow, you know, older generation. But now, clearly,
we supply some of those clubs around here.
Oh, yeah, well, fine. But now it has this more hip reputation, I think. I think a younger consumer is becoming interested in it.
And why do you think there's a resurgence now, an artisan resurgence? Why didn't it happen 15, 20 years ago? Why is it now there's been this huge explosion in the artisan market?
Because I think there's been this general trend, as people have become more sophisticated, as people have had a bit more disposable income. I mean, if you look around here, you know, the sorts of restaurant that there are, the sorts of bar that there are, all of these things have changed enormously in the last few decades. You know, you didn't used to have people asking about where their beef came from, where their lamb came from, where their fish came from. And I think, you know, gin is caught up in all of that. People have become really fascinated. I mean, we remember decades ago, people started asking a lot of questions about beer. They wanted their beer to be genuine, to be made by artisans, to have a heritage. And I think maybe, you know, gin, it's not a surprise. In a way, gin's been quite slow to catch up, perhaps.
No. Is it too early for a gin and tonic?
No, I don't think there can be too early for a gin and tonic.
That was the right answer.
It's a lovely, tasty drink. I think one of the things about a gin is it is a demarcator between the working day and what follows.
Interesting.
You know, all day, you know, you've got something in the back of your mind. There's a kind of longing that you haven't identified. Well, it's a gin and tonic, because that's what marks the start of the evening, or that's what marks the start of the weekend. And just that wonderful moment when you take a sip and you sigh, the working day is behind you.
Fantastic. I agree with you, obviously. Michael, thank you very much indeed.
That's a pleasure.
Thank you.